Hello, Phoebe.
Good afternoon, Tad.
Where's Dixie?
Well, there was a general consensus that Dixie ought to adopt a low profile. And how are you today?
Well, considering that my beloved niece has just had her heart torn out and handed to her on a silver platter with your initials engraved on it, how do you think I am?
Brooke? I just want to say one thing in front of witnesses. You're not going to get away with this.
Tad, this is difficult enough. Threatening my client is
I'm
entirely
not threatening her.
inappropriate.
I'm just informing her of the facts. I am that baby's father. And nothing you can do or say is going to convince the judge otherwise.
I wouldn't be too sure about that.
Holy Toledo, what is he doing here?
None of our business, remember? Just leave him alone. Maybe we'll work something out. So now I have to make a phone call. You two ladies go on in.
All right.
Go in now, but
Come on. Palmer knows best.
Brooke, there are a few things we need to go over before the hearing starts, but I need to make a quick phone call.
I'll be in a couple of minutes.
Brooke, any confrontation between you and Tad.
I'll be fine.
Keep it cool. I mean it.
Let me guess. Your knight in shining armor to the rescue once again. Well, I gotta say, it makes sense. After all, nobody wants to see me twisting in the wind more than he does.
You don't even know what a noose feels like around your neck, do you? Brooke does.
I can speak for myself.
Oh, come on, Edmund, admit it. You've been dying for a chance like this for God knows how long.
She trusted you. She believed in you, and you cheated on her and left her for Dixie. You might as well have left her for dead. But no acts of mercy for Tad Martin. Now you have to try to rip off her children, too. You don't think you deserve to twist in the wind?
Just for your edification.
Thank you.
I am not trying to rip off our children. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stand here and let you waltz off with them either. Why the hell should I? Jamie's my son. He loves me. And I love him. And I'm going to love this new baby just as much. And for you to stand here in a court of law and lie and say he's the father is nothing short of pathetic.
Oh, how would you know who the father is? You weren't very attentive in that area, remember? You were too busy with Dixie.
You swore to me it was over with him after Willow Lake.
You swore to me that you would be faithful. You lied, so why shouldn't I?
Because you don't lie.
But you do. You're a great liar, aren't you, Ted? Nobody lies like you do. So which is it? Was I lying then? Or am I lying now? It's not much fun, is it, Ted? Not to know.
I've known Brooke since she was a mere slip of a girl. She's never done anything halfway. Now, she would not confess her attraction to another man, to both of you, and then blithely have an affair under your very nose. It just goes against her nature. She'd confess it all or confess nothing.
You are looking at a professional schemer. Listen to him.
If my math is correct, this baby was conceived right about the time that I took off for Canada with Ted.
Well, that was right about the time she decided not to use protection when you guys made love.
It could have happened like that, or maybe while I was away.
No, you were away, but I wasn't. I was right here. I saw Brooke every single day, and when she told me about leaving that diaphragm in the drawer that night, I'm telling you, she was racked with guilt. She was desperate. She was desperately trying to save your marriage, not end it.
Oh, come on, Mama. Brooke could have very easily slept with Edmund a few hours later.
She doesn't have it in her, honey. That baby is yours. Now, when she heard that judge throw out that prenup agreement, poor Brooke, she just got so mad she said the first mean thing that popped into her head, which happened to be a big, fat whopper. We just gotta hope that maybe she's calm down and come to her senses, and she apologizes once the court reconvenes.
Yeah, I think Hope was right, absolutely. But, you know, the judge isn't going to buy that lame story.
She will if Edmund backs her up.
Fry, have you had sufficient time to confer with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Logan?
We're prepared, Your Honor.
Very well. Assuming that we've all spent the recess productively examining new information relevant to the best interests of the minor child, James Edward Martin, and his in utero brother or sister, we'll start with Mrs. Martin. Would you like to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Mrs. Martin, would you please take the stand?
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
When court adjourned earlier, you claimed that your husband, Tad Martin, was not the father of the child you're carrying and offered to prove it by bringing the actual father before this bench.
Tad Martin is not my baby's father. My baby's father is an honorable man. A faithful man who keeps his word. And that man is in court today, Your Honor. His name is Edmund Gray.
Let the record show that Mrs. Martin has named Edmund Gray as the father of her unborn child.
Edmund and I have known each other and worked together for almost 2 years, Your Honor. We were engaged at one time. After I married Tad, Edmund and I worked together on a story for Tempo. There was an accident, and Edmund almost drowned at Willow Lake. And that night, we spent most of that night in my aunt's cabin on the lake. I wanted to sleep with him, but I didn't. He almost died, and I realized at that point how much I still cared about him. I wanted to make love to him, but I turned him down. After Willow Lake, Tad was in Canada, and I found out that my husband was cheating on me with Dixie Cooney. And Edmund was very kind and supportive and sympathetic. And that's when we slept together.
Your Honor, may I cross-examine Mrs. Martin?
Yes, Mr. Logan.
Mrs. Martin, just where did this expression of sympathy take place?
It was at Wildwind.
Were there witnesses?
No, of course not.
So no one can vouch for the truth of what you're saying.
No one but Edmund himself.
And how long did the affair last?
It wasn't an affair. It was just a one night. I was devastated. I had found out that my marriage was over. And I told Edmund how sorry I was that I hadn't made a different decision at Willow Lake. And one thing led to another. And that's when we made love. And that is when this child was conceived.
You're sure?
Yes.
And yet you told both your husband and your mother-in-law, Mrs. Cortlandt, that the night that Mr. Martin left for Canada, you and your husband made love and you did not use any contraception. Is that true?
It's true that I told him that, but I lied.
Oh, you were lying then. Why? Why lie about not using contraception before you committed adultery with Mr. Gray?
I wanted a baby.
I see. So you were planning to conceive a child with Mr. Gray and pass it off as your husband's.
No, I wanted a child with Edmund, not Tad.
Stop it. Stop it, Brooke. Stop the lying. Your Honor, I apologize for my outburst, but I cannot in good conscience remain silent any longer.
For the record, please identify yourself.
My name is Edmund Gray, and I'd like to make a statement.
Your Honor, I request a 5-minute recess.
It's too late. Let him speak.
Brooke.
Objection overruled. In any case, I'd like to get to the bottom of this. Please, take the stand, Mr. Gray.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Everything Brooke said about us is right on the money. Except for one thing. I'm not the father of her baby. There's no way I could be. It's biologically impossible. Because Brooke and I haven't slept together since she broke off our engagement. Over a year ago. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
There's a law. There's more, Your Honor. There's a lot more. Brooke English is one of the finest, most honorable women I've ever met. She's also a loving mother.
Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Gray has already denied paternity of Mrs. Martin's baby. His further opinion is not only irrelevant, but also prejudicial.
Overruled. Continue, Mr. Gray.
Brooke was leveled when her husband walked out on her. She put everything she had into saving her marriage, and nothing worked. She felt used and abandoned. And why shouldn't she? Because Tad Martin promised to love and be faithful to her until death. And he also swore in writing that he would never seek custody of Jamie. But here we are. Your Honor, Brooke's terrified. She's gonna have her children stolen from her. She's already lost one child to a drunk driver. She doesn't deserve to lose anymore. And that story that she made up about me being the father, well, that's... She's just scared. Please don't hold it against her. Jamie needs his mother, and Brooke needs her children. Please, don't take anything else away from her. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Your Honor, excuse me. May I please be heard? Your Honor, my attorney, Mr. Logan, may not approve of my timing or what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Before this hearing was scheduled, I had no intention of seeking anything other than liberal visitation with my son. But in light of recent developments, I have serious reservations about Jamie staying in Brooke's care. I'd give anything not to have to do this. My wife has used my son as a weapon against me. She's threatened to pick up stakes and move 6,000 miles away, which would effectively wipe out all contact with Jamie. Now she stood up in the court of law and she has lied about the paternity of our unborn child. Your Honor, it hurts me to have to say this, but if Jamie has to be with one or the other of us, I'd like to petition the court for full physical and legal custody of James Edward Martin, effective immediately.
No! 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 You can't let him do that! No!
Someday the tricks begin when kids start disappearing on Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman.